We have some breaking news to report in the criminal investigation into Donald Trump's handling of classified documents. In just the last hour, in what amounts to part desperate measure, part legal Hail Mary, attorneys for the ex-president made an attempt to block DOJ's criminal investigation by asking the U.S. Supreme Court to reverse a ruling by an appeals court that gives the DOJ access to classified documents that were seized at Mar-a-Lago. Let's bring into our coverage Washington Post national investigative reporter and MSNBC contributor Carol Leonnig and former U.S. attorney and MSNBC legal analyst Joyce Vance. Carol Leonnig, we have some skepticism about jumping on this because jumping on Donald Trump's appeal to the Supreme Court is exactly how Donald Trump seeks to change the narrative about all the losing that's been happening in the 11th Circuit. But let's deal with the legal aspects before we deal with the sort of narrative play that Trump is clearly making. Where does this go? To Clarence Thomas, I understand. Is that right?
Well, Clarence Thomas is ostensibly, possibly the controlling senior justice in a case like this. But I have to say that the emergency appeal that Donald Trump is making is fairly technical and unusual in the sense that he makes the argument that the circuit over this court in Florida, the federal judge, Judge Cannon, that the appeals court didn't have jurisdiction to overrule her. If she didn't have jurisdiction, forgive me, if the appeals court didn't have jurisdiction over a court in its district, I am confused. I'm curious to hear what Joyce will have to say about this, too. I find that, there's a big problem, and there always has been, with Donald Trump's claim about these records. His legal team initially said that these classified records needed to be reviewed by a special master because there was, as Judge Cannon agreed with him, there was a dispute about whether or not they were classified. But unfortunately, the legal precedent and all the case law in this country defers to the U.S. government as the protector of our national secrets. And letting the U.S. government have access to our national secrets, which Donald Trump withheld from them for 18 months, is kind of a no-brainer. They should have access to this, and it's hard to see how Judge Cannon found sort of legal foundation to say otherwise. Now, Donald Trump is coming along, trying to get before the Supreme Court on a technical element with also very shaky legal foundation.
And Joyce, I just want to inject the reality of what's happening here. Nobody on planet Earth thinks that classified documents can be the possessions of an ex-president, full stop. Take Donald Trump out of it. And Donald Trump found a judge that agreed to his request for a special master. And Donald Trump got DOJ to agree to his pick for special master. And that went very badly for Donald Trump. So here we go. Let me read to it. To the Honorable Clarence Thomas, Circuit Justice for the 11th Circuit. Pursuant to Rules 22 and 23, President Trump respectfully applies for an order vacating to limit extent the order issued on September 21st by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit. To Carol's point, even though that order was not jurisdictionally before the court, what is he talking about?
Well, I wouldn't read too much into the fact that this has gone to Justice Thomas. He is our circuit justice in the 11th Circuit. These sorts of matters go to him initially. I would expect that unless he decides to dispense of this on his own, that he will take it to the full court, and it actually won't be a decision made just by Justice Thomas. If I could for a second, I'll just respond to Carol's comment. I think she may be sorry that she asked what I thought about the technical legal issue here, because she's absolutely correct. This is a hyper-technical issue. In essence, Trump, his $3 million lawyer, the former Florida Solicitor General, is arguing that this was not an appealable final order. You can't just appeal any order that a trial court enters. It has to be a certain type of order under 1292, a final appealable order, and they say that this is not. Of course, the 11th Circuit has already addressed this issue and talked through the legal insider sort of issues involving granting or excluding a stay, which was what DOJ asked here. They wanted a stay of Judge Cannon's order that didn't permit them to to use classified documents. This goes up to the Supreme Court. It seems like it should be a pretty pro forma sort of discussion, but there's real risk here for Trump. And Nicole, you've pointed out that this has sort of been the case where nothing good happens to Trump, and he could well find himself getting bench slapped here by the Supreme Court, because one of the real issues lurking not too far below the surface is that Judge Cannon herself really should not have entertained jurisdiction to hear this matter at all. DOJ has argued from the get-go that she lacks equitable jurisdiction. She made a very shaky finding in this regard. Now that entire ball of wax is sitting in the Supreme Court, and I don't think that this will go well for Trump, even though this has been where he's wanted to be all along, thinking that the court would be favorable towards him.
You said bench slapped, and I heard something altogether differently, but I whipped my head back on, and it's on straight.